The Community Spotlight is back and I can't wait to share this story with you, so let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome to Life Begins at 20. My name is Mark and thank you so much for joining me. Now in this episode of the Community Spotlight of pet cards, we're going to be looking at a more wider range of cards that have come from a fellow cube creator, which is Thomas Krone. Now, if many of you know, if you go on Twitter, either on the hashtag MTGCube or have heard of his Cubevitational, he is a prominent figure in the cube community. And to be perfectly honest, as soon as I read through this story, I couldn't wait to share it all with you. So without any further ado, let's get stuck in. So Thomas used to have a fully powered and mostly foiled pimped out cube, but was struggling to justify the amount of money that tied up in it. This was especially the case, as many of you know if you look on Twitter, he runs a semi-public Cubevitational. This has made him more and more nervous about his cube's value, which is completely understandable, and I'm sure many in the same boat would feel the same. As a result, a few years ago, he began to sell anything and everything worth over $15. As you can imagine, this hurt a bit at first, but looking back at it now, he has no regrets at all. The money that he managed to actually recap from all of these cards has helped actually fund some really important things in his life, like funding his driving license, getting some tech, going travelling, and having some money going into his house. While he did cherish his Library of Alexandria, Mishra's Workshop and so on, he did have to say goodbye to those. However, not everything went. He had altars which he commissioned that he didn't want to sell as they had a special place in his heart. The following were done by Card Kitty and I'm sure you can see why he didn't want to sell them. Some really stunning pieces here. This version of Balance was altered by Sandraline and I must say it's an amazing piece. Has to be my favourite altar that Thomas has shared with us. After selling his expensive cards, he began to replace these with proxies. Now, he didn't just want to get proxies that looked like the original cards because he didn't want to convey a misunderstanding of whether these proxies were real or not, so he scoured the internet to find custom pieces of artwork. Most of the proxies in his cube are amazing reimagined alternate works of art by a proxy guy, which many of you may already know if you go on the Magic community on Twitter, which I must admit the style of these looks fantastic, but also artwork by I Am Knob, which I'm personally a big fan of the full art style frames here. But these weren't his favourites. Thomas's favourite is an almost non-proxy Black Lotus puzzle piece. This card was part of a contest called the Black Lotus Quest, where if anybody managed to collect all 9 pieces from the Ultra Pro sleeves back in the late 90s, they could send it in to win $250. Although many of the cards shown may make the cube look classic-ish, there are a lot more modern looking cards in there too. Overall, his cube is rather eclectic and that is something which he loves, and to be perfectly honest, I really do as well. It really brings out the personal feel that Thomas wanted to create here. Continuing with the eclectic theme, Thomas's basic lands range from Beta, Unglued, Unhinged and Zendikar, which I really do like. Definitely enough to mix it up. Now I mentioned earlier Thomas runs an annual Cubevitational and this allowed him to customise his cube even more, by each winner having their own custom token in the cube. These were created by the Proxy Guy and Ashnod Altars. I'm a huge fan of this myself as it really adds to the personal feel that Thomas wanted to create with each cube and it gives it a sense of history. So I just want to thank Thomas for sharing his story there because, to be perfectly honest, I can completely understand where he's coming from with the amount of money in the cards that he had in the cube, and it's really nice that he managed to actually fund a lot of really important things in his life. Driving license and money going to a house, for example, is a really good cause. Plus, you know, he still managed to create a really good and fun cube that lots of people get to play with his Cubevitationals, and that is fantastic, and that's something that I really do like about this Magic Cube community. Now, personally, some of those artwork I wouldn't necessarily be my first choice, but that Balance card looks absolutely stunning, and I'd love to have that card in my cube as well because that just looks so good. And I can completely understand that proxies may not be everybody's cup of tea, but there are some amazing pieces of artwork out there, and I don't have an issue with people doing that for their cubes because some of the cards are just so expensive to actually pick up, especially with the likes of your Dual Lands, Power 9 if that was something you wanted to include, and so on. It's just if you want to put proxies into your cube, I have no issue in doing that, because I want to be able to have the enjoyment of the gameplay overall, and it gives the idea of personal touch, which Thomas definitely has done in his cube there. I really do love the eclectic feel that he's managed to produce. So let me know in the comment section below what you think of the cards in his cubes. Do you have a favourite altar of his that he's actually managed to get done, or a proxy, for example? I'd love to know. I would just like to take this moment to thank my Patreons of the channel. I can't thank you enough for the help and support that you're giving me. If you'd like to do the same, head over to patreon.com/lifebegins@20, and there'll be a link in the description below for that as well, where there are plenty of rewards to choose from. With your support, we can really push to make this channel even better. Be sure to check out our sponsor, 5colorcombo.com, for a great range of Magic the Gathering accessories with stunning artwork, plus a great app to draft and create decks on the fly. Use the referral code LifeBegins20 for 5% off. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for new videos every Tuesday and Friday. With your support, we can really help this channel to grow. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.